Hello, children. That's from Fallout 3. If you haven't played Fallout 3, that was funny. Any case, real quick here, I wanted to, something's come up in the Manosphere and understand one of the biggest fears me and a lot of other guys who write in the Manosphere have is that the advice we give you is no longer applicable. That the experiences and wisdom that we gained in our youth in the 70s, 80s, and 90s does not apply to you kids today in the 2000s and 2010s. And then we go and we see like a Sandra Fluke or stories on slut walks and girls stabbing their boyfriends, and then we're like, we're needed more than ever actually, and our fears were unfounded. However, something did come up where we do have to nip this in the butt because I believe the Manosphere has misled you boys, and we want to remedy this. And that is, I'm getting a lot of emails now, or statements, comments, whatever, about you're against women and you're never getting married and things like that. And I know I'm going to catch flack from this in the Manosphere, but I'm going to hold my ground and tell you what I think. That's a mistake. That is, you shouldn't be thinking that way. Now, the reason why is this. The Manosphere is not anti-woman. This is very important because that's the easiest criticism you can make of the Manosphere, which is not true, but that's what our enemies are going to claim. We are anti-feminist. We're anti-feminism. We love women. We love girls. We are pro. That is on our political platform. We are pro-women. That's what. But it's kind of like what feminists do. Kind of remember how Saddam Hussein during the 2 Iraq wars would put guns and military wares next to, say, schools or orphanages or hospitals, making it so the United States couldn't hit it because it was too close and caused too much collateral damage to innocent people. Well, feminists and feminism has done pretty much the same thing with women. They've co-opted women and claimed that they're for women, when in reality they're not. It really is just a thinly veiled thing for communism, but we're not going to go into that. That's an aside. But you have to be able to discern. We are not anti-woman. We are anti-feminist. Okay? And you got to really place your shots real well and be able to discern that line between women and feminism, because the two are different. The two are definitely different. But again, for another time. Now, like I said, I'm probably going to catch a lot of flack, so let me go into this. Women are probably the best thing that can happen to you guys. And the reason why is that all men, are genetic, except for gay men, are genetically programmed. You're wired to like women. That's how it goes. And if you find the right one, you will have the happiest life you could ever possibly have. And then maybe you have children, maybe you don't. Again, I'm not against children either. I just personally don't want children. But that's what most men are wired and programmed to have, is a wife and kids. And that's where you're going to probably be happiest. If you're working, you have a wife, you have kids, that's when you're probably going to be happiest. And key to that happiness is finding a perfect, not the perfect woman, but a really good woman who's going to take care of you, who's going to be nice to you, loves you, adores you, worships the ground you walk on. You should do the same to her. And if you have this, hooray for us, we're Manosphere guys, and you're anti-woman, you are going to miss out on that if it ever does present itself. Now, what I'm essentially saying is, when in the Manosphere we write about the flaws of feminism, the flaws of Western women, I know here's where the flack is going to come. Not all women are like that. They really aren't. Now, the question is, what kind of percentages are we talking about, so you know. And this will show you how rare it is and why you don't want to miss out on something like that. Not to brag, I've dated well over 300 girls. I stopped counting like 280 almost a decade ago. So I have enough pool or sample size to speak competently about this. Out of what is probably more like 350 or wherever, I don't know where I am now, there's only been 3 girls that I would have qualified as marriage material. Now that's less than 1%. And that assumes you go up there and you hit pavement. And you say, well, 300, well, you must be some awesome. No, I got shot down at least 5-6 times as many times. I mean, it's listen to Roosh or whatever. They're constantly at it, and that's what I was like until I got burnt out and I couldn't do it anymore. The larger point is there is less than a 1% chance you're going to find a girl that really is. You're like, wow, holy cow, this is the one I want. And even then, in my youth, I passed up on a couple of them because I was so focused no one guided me like I'm trying to do here now. I was focused on my career. I was focused on college, and also I hurt a lot of girls' feelings. And I know that sounds femmy or weak, but you know, I get to live with the fact that I hurt innocent people, and that is something I don't wish upon anyone. But again, that's an aside. I don't want us to have this welt a tear here or anything like that. The larger point is you can't go in there all the women are the enemy, because you're going to miss out on these very rare girls if you're lucky enough to meet them. And you got to probably work at it too, especially if you're going to get 100 dates. It's going to be difficult. So the strategy or the tactic that I like to use, or what I like to call it, is fish, line, and water. If you've ever gone fishing and you're a lazy man, you can strap multiple poles to your boat and then drink a beer, take a nap, read a book or whatever, and then inevitably some fish is going to bite. You always leave a line out for a girl. And it'll become very quick and apparent, especially on the first or second date, whether or not she's going to qualify as a girl that's, you know, marriage material, or V1, I don't want to use that term, but one of the few. So you never discount women. Game them, play them, sure, be aloof, be indifferent, work out. Don't be a beta, don't be desperate, don't, oh, you want to do sweeter. Be a man. But at the same time, don't immediately cut them off. Leave that line out there. You might find that, and your life will be happier. Trust you me, okay? So, and you don't know when it's going to hit, you know. The first girl, not to identify anyone, but I was 17. When I ran into this gal. I had no idea. I was 17. I was less than half the age I am now when I ran into this girl. And of course, at the age of 17, you gotta go to school. You got other stuff to do. This is a distraction in your long-term goals. That was a mistake. Now that I'm older and I realize that. But that girl, there were very few who ever approached that girl. So it can hit at any time. So don't think, oh, I gotta get my MBA, or I gotta do this, or that opportunity will not present itself for at least, I estimate, 8 years on average, if you're hitting the field and playing real well. Finally, and here's the final point I want to do, because I thought about this, I'm like, oh my gosh, two sides of the same coin. If you say, I'm never getting married, you're doing the exact same thing as feminists. Feminists say, I don't need a man, fish bicycle sort of thing. And that's hypocritical. The biggest flaw, the biggest damage feminists have caused women, among themselves, is they denied their nature and their psychology. They are programmed to like men. And they're programmed, I believe, I'm not a woman, but I believe they're programmed to want to have kids. And they have that predisposition. Feminists say, no, we don't want to, and they ignore that reality, and they tell other women the same thing, to ignore that reality, ignore their feelings and their nature, and it's only to their own demise and consequences. And if you don't believe me, just look at how miserable the feminists are, especially at the age of 40, 45, 50, who don't have a husband or kids. You don't want to become like that. And that is the difference between the manosphere and feminism, is men acknowledge reality, we acknowledge truth. It's not what we'd like it to be, we say, what is it? What is reality? What is the truth? And then we base our behaviors and decisions around that. Feminists try to change reality, try to change nature, which is impossible, and they suffer a miserable life for it. So please don't become like the feminists and say, a man needs a woman like he needs a bicycle, and then be miserable for the rest of your life. Admit that you have a soft spot for women, you like women, and there ain't nothing wrong with that. In the French, you know, vive la différence. Because that's the best thing we got going for us, is those dames. Well, the girls that like being called dames. That's, you don't want a girl like, dame is sexist. You stay away from those girls. So, in any case, hope that helps out you boys, and hope you get a better life than a lot of us guys have that are further down the road than you. Toodles!